Rhizosorb is redefining what growers expect from phosphate fertilizer. Backed by data and built for performance, Rhizosorb helps reduce phosphorus losses, improve uptake, and boost ROI without increasing input costs. Join the next wave of growers switching to the next generation of phosphorus fertilizers by visiting phospholutions.com.
You're listening to Ruminating with RealAg, the podcast that chews on the latest in beef production, with your host, Amber Bell.
I'm Amber Bell, and this is Ruminating with RealAg. For today's episode, I am very excited to have with me Etienne Poulin. Now, Etienne and I worked on a ranch in the past together, but he also has a lot of experience working for different operations. He's worked for a couple of years in Australia on different farms, and then he's worked on a couple different operations here in Canada. And so we're going to be talking about communication styles, because when you're moving from one farm to another, there's going to be different people, you're learning to deal with different people, and communication can really make things run smoothly or not smoothly when working on a farm or ranch. So I really hope you enjoy this conversation. Hey, Etienne, it is fantastic to see you again.
Great to see you too, Amber.
So I'm really excited for this episode because we're going to be talking about what it's like to work on different farms and ranches, and maybe some advice for employers that can learn from that and, take it. So you've worked on quite a few different farms and ranches. Tell me a little bit about what types of places you've worked and what drew you to this line of work, to farming.
What drew me to it, honestly, I couldn't tell you. Ever since I was a child, I had an interest in it, but I did not grow up anywhere near it. I grew up in the countryside outside of Ottawa by, from downtown, maybe 40 minutes at tops. My family didn't have a farm. Closest thing I had was an uncle with a 7-acre hobby farm. And in its prime, that farm raised 2 steer and had 3 horses that didn't do much in the paddock. One of them once in a while went off for a ride. So, not exactly a big ag background or anything, but for whatever reason, I've been drawn to it since I was a kid. I couldn't do much about it. I ended up going to Australia just on a working holiday in my early 20s. And part of that is if you wanted a second year working holiday, you had to do 3 months of farm work. So I was actually kind of pumped to go do it. And started working on a massive, oh Lord, in total, they were 250,000 acres. And I was hired on the cotton farm division. So they had a 20,000 acre irrigation cotton. So I was hired on there as a laborer and a machinery operator. And then I did 2 months there. And then I came back and worked another 5 months. And then that second part, they allowed me to work on the broader part of the ranch. And then we started working with the 3,000 head herd of cattle. And I think they had 2,000 merino sheep or whatnot. So that gave me a really broader farm experience and into livestock. And that's when I said, well, I really like doing this. So I got that second year in Australia, spent my second year in Australia working on a different operation. Spent the whole year there. They were mixed operations. So we did grain. They had a grain rotation of 6 different things. I won't go into everything. And then they had about 30 to 40,000 heads of merino sheep. So I worked with those guys for a year. I gained a lot of experience there. Came back to Canada. Decided, I want to do that with my life. So I ended up working with a producer out near Lloydminster that I got in touch with through the Stockman Grass Farmer magazine. Worked for a summer with him. That one didn't work out. But then I got hired by another ranch down by Westlock, where I ended up staying there for 2 years as at first as the fencer laborer and then as the grazing manager.
So that's quite a few different operations and different animals. You've had your own flock of sheep as well.
That's
talk
right.
a little bit about that, what that was like.
Yeah, that was great. So coming back from Australia, obviously I'd learned to work with sheep, and I had a pretty good idea that there was some money to be made if you kept sheep under a pasture system, especially if you looked at the more regenerative systems. I launched into that. I ended up buying 50 ewes. Of course, I had to iron out some kinks in the first year, so there were a few setbacks and whatnot. But in general, I can say that it was successful. And then I also, I'm sure you remember, I also had some pigs.
Mm-hmm.
So I raised pasture pigs, I think 40 to 50 of them for 2 years. So yeah,
And
I've dabbled in a few different animals.
what would you say are some of the lessons that you've learned in working in different types of operations and for different people?
Oh Lord, the lessons. I mean, you can. I guess the main one would just be you can learn from just about anybody. I mean, the big farms I worked in Australia is nowhere near the kind of agriculture we'll do here. But I mean, something as basic as, I don't know, attaching a 3-point hitch. A tractor in Australia or on a big farm works the same as on a small farm across the world in a regenerative system. Pounding posts, the same thing. Um, Tips and tricks like that. And then even into the production side of it, I mean, they might not manage their grass the same way as I do, but the stockmans that spent a career taking care of those big flocks and those herds of cattle, I learned a ton from them. I mean, these guys taught me stockmanship skills that I can pass on to people these days that, I mean, they're just great stockmen. They've spent their lives at it and the systems they've got over massive acres, they've just had to learn to, yeah, I guess just really have good stockmanship skills to work those animals and really understand pressure and all those things. So it just gives you a really good base understanding of how to work livestock
Hmm.
versus if you're always constantly near the home base and you've got big steel infrastructure, you kind of don't have to learn nearly as much because the animals have nowhere to go and they can put pressure on the rails and they won't bend or break because they're good strong. So we had those types of setups at the home bases, which we use when we gather everyone. But when you're out in the field, sometimes you need it to work. Um, yeah, that's where those things came in, and just I mean the sheer amount of livestock when you got a mob of 11,000 sheep, if you don't know how to put pressure probably on an animal for it to go the direction you want it to, you're going to get into a wreck because you
I was
can't
going to say
control.
that working with a large herd would definitely
Yeah,
be, or
you,
flock would be a lot different than working with 50 animals.
yeah. If you're moving 5 ewes, you might be able to rely on luck, even up to I don't know 50, maybe 100. When you got 10,000, you can't be counting on luck. Luck ain't getting
No,
you there.
no, for sure.
So yeah,
Uh,
I guess the main thing would just be like you can learn from everyone. There's things to be
mm,
learned, even if they're not perfect from you. Exactly what you want to do. Like, don't go thinking there's nothing to learn there.
right, I like that. And so let's go kind of into the communication piece because having worked for different people, you've seen different ways of doing things. What are some of the experiences that you've had that have shaped the way you think about communication and leadership on a ranch?
I definitely had the chance to see different styles. That's for sure. Um, I would say my best experience and the ones that I've seen have the most success would be the ones that were able to keep themselves calm and communicate, you know, in a fairly humane manner. Obviously, on a good day when the sun's shining, everything that's always easy. It's when starts things start to get rocky a little bit. That's where usually it's the communication thing starts to slide down. That being said, though, even on a good day, it's still important if you're not working alone. Just be very clear. Like the ranches in Australia, one of the issues I suppose they had was just employee turnover because they relied on backpackers that usually came in, did their 3 to 6 months, and they took off. So that forced them to develop a great way to bring in new people, get the trim as quick as you can because you've only got them for a set amount of time, and be very clear because everybody comes from different backgrounds. Some have never driven anything bigger than a Toyota, and I've never worked anything more than paperwork or their version of Tim Hortons, where they come from or whatever. And all of a sudden, they find themselves in the field. So they had very clear standard operation sheets that they could find in every truck. Everybody was accessible. So you did get trained at day one, but obviously you can't remember all the information you learned in the first week. You would have your clip pad with everything. If you got one employee, you probably don't need to go all the way down to the standard operation sheet on how to put in the post and where to attach wires on it. But you keep that concept of just be very clear and make it available somewhere so that the employee can do their job without having to bother you every time, because that'll also get on your nerve and then that breaks down communication. So
Mm.
yeah, just clear instructions make a massive difference. Massive
And how
difference.
far do you think that needs to break down? So thinking someone new comes onto a farm or ranch, how much time would you say needs to be spent just like, for one, figuring out where the other person is coming from and what their experiences are, and like how much time would you dedicate to that, would you say is worthwhile?
Oh Lord, that's going to depend entirely upon the candidate. I mean, if
Hmm.
somebody's coming in from a ranching background already, you're not starting at point A. They should know how to put in a fence staple, right? If they come in and they're completely new to the ranching industry, but they've worked with manual jobs before, that was my case. So I come from a construction renovation background. When I got into ranching, I had to learn everything ranching.
Hmm.
But swinging a hammer, picking up something heavy, using your body to work, working fairly long hours, and keep on going when you're tired, because we work till the job's done, not until the clock hits a certain time type of gig. That's all something. I mean, if you're new to all that, you're starting your learning curve from the bottom. So it
Hmm.
really depends where the candidate is. And as far as how much you put into it, I would say as long as the person is progressing forward and they actually want to keep on learning, keep putting it into it. Because that's, in my
Yeah.
opinion, one of the bigger issues nowadays is just finding a candidate that will actually show up and is willing to learn and get better. I mean, if you got one of those, hold on to him and train him. Because
Yeah,
you
I
let
like
him
that.
go, you might find the next person on resume looks great, but if they don't have the hustle. So I would train someone with hustle any day over taking someone with experience.
I
And
really like that.
at the same time, the flip side of that is you get to train them exactly how you want them to be trained. So it
Hmm.
takes longer. At first, it's going to cost you money before they start to break even, and then later on start making you money and can really count on them and rely on them. But if it's worthwhile in the end for the right people. If you don't have the right people, as soon as you know that they're not the right people, I'd say let them go, because from then
Mm,
on they're not beneficial. So you give
right.
them a break, really train them on. But if you see the attitude's not there, or they're just gonna make it, if you got in your mind like I'm done with this person, from then on, every day you keep him on is not a service to you or to them. Like if it's
Right.
not
And you're
working,
putting time into those people. So,
yeah, and they're giving you their time, which I mean, it might not be worth much because they're not putting much into it, but free them up, let them
yeah.
learn from it. So
Yeah. I like that. And so let's talk about communication during busy seasons like calving or shipping time, and
mhm.
especially the heat of the moment, because I think there's a lot of jokes among ranchers that like, hey, what I say when I'm moving cattle, don't, that doesn't matter. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Um, I mean, yeah, the stereotype is there for a reason. Um, they, it tends to be what I figure is just high stress environment. People naturally work themselves up. I mean, when you get out on the morning and you just have to move him or go check him, there's no stress. It's the routine. You're doing your routine. The animals are doing their routine. Nothing should be going wrong. Once in a while, it happens because it's livestock. But as an overall, you don't get into it with the stress. When it comes to those big days, you've already got a crunch time. The trucks arriving at X time. I hope your corrals are already ready, or else you're adding that stress too into it. Got to bring in the animals. Well, what if they go south? Whatever. Already, all the stress is heightened up. So when your baseline is already jacked up to 50, it doesn't take much to push you over. It's kind of like when you're driving. When you're driving at 100 and somebody cuts you off, right away people react and they start road rage. I'm not saying they ran the car, but in their own car, they're probably mumbling something at the minimum, right? Why are you reacting so much like that? It's because you're already heightened up at a level 80, because you got to pay attention to things zooming by you at 100 kilometers an hour. If you're sitting in your living room and somebody walks off in front of you as you're getting up, you're not going to start cussing them out or whatever. At first, I'm like, yo, watch out.
Hopefully you're not.
Yeah, it's the stress level. And I think it's something similar that's happening when we're in high stress environments and whatever. That being said, that's not an excuse to go and, mouth off to everybody and treat everybody like they're not humans, or like everything is forgiven because we're working cattle. It's like, no, 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 no. You're still in a work environment. You still got to keep your cool.
Right.
So, yeah, it's very important to, especially as the person in charge barking the orders, you set the tone and the mood for everything on that day. So if you can keep your cool, you're going to have the hardest job of them all to keep it. But if you
Hmm.
can keep your cool, the odds of things going smoothly and having a good day are going to go a lot. lot better. And the animals sense it too. If you get riled up and you start yelling at the team gets riled up. The animals sense it too. Everybody's got less patience. Everybody's more jerky in their step because now it's like, come on, go, because you got to let out the anger somewhere. So the boss gets it down the employee goes down to the livestock, and now everybody's angry and pissed off. Right. It just doesn't help. So in those situations, and if something happens, like one of the greatest things I've ever learned from someone that I used to work with is when something goes bad. So whether it's, the person, we're working livestock and they do something in the moment that's not right, and you think they should know better, or you literally show up and somebody makes a mistake. That applies in every industry. If somebody under you makes a mistake, the instinct usually is, and I know I'm guilty of that 100%, to get in there is like, what are you doing? Like, you automatically assume that they did the wrong thing for the wrong reason. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I learned best from one of my old bosses is just get in there with the attitude of just, okay, what happened? Just explain to me, like obviously it went wrong, but explain to me at least your mindset of how you got there. What were you thinking? And that, first of all, calms everything down because you're not walking in there like, what the hell? And yelling at everybody. And you offer them a chance to explain how it happened. What that is, obviously something went wrong. So whatever you did, you're in a bad spot. But what it does is offer you the chance to understand how the employee got there. So instead of assuming, oh, they didn't care about my machinery or my post about the job, they're just here for a paycheck. If they can explain the logic and say, oh, that's not going to work, but I can understand how you got there. And that just takes the fire out of your anger, mm-hmm. at least a little bit. Right. It should, depending on how bad they screwed up. Because you're like, okay, well, at least there was a logic to it. It wasn't a lack of, I don't care about this guy's thing. And if it turns out that it is, and I don't care, he just admitted to it. Yeah. What more are you waiting for? Get rid of him.
Yeah.
It literally came down to, I have zero explanation. I don't know. I was not paying attention. I don't care. I decided, I'll try it. Okay, well, then you got your answer. Think seriously on it. Do you keep him? But if you just offer the people the chance to explain why, and same thing in the corrals. If something opens the wrong gate and lets in the wrong animals or whatever, there's no need to start yelling at him. Mm-hmm. Just ask, okay, what's your thoughts? Why are you doing this? Oh, turns out they're trying to reload the next pan. Okay, well, we actually need to hold off on that because of that, but there's no need to bite their heads off. Just explain the game plan.
Right.
Flip side of that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think one of the things that you said there that really hit me that I haven't heard necessarily before, and I like the way you explained it, is that, what level of stress are you going into those stressful situations in already? So how much would you say pre-planning, so having corral setups, having that goes into keeping some of those emotions down during those stressful situations?
Oh, it's huge. I'd say it's probably, I'll call it 50% for the morning before any cows start to move. That stress, that pre-anticipation stress, I'd say it's 50%. For me, the other 50% that I've seen is stockmanship skills. So that 50% has rarely ever been an issue for me. I'm not trying to brag or I'm just honest to God truth. I've never been as nervous because I understand flight zones well. And I'm fairly confident in my stockmanship skills to keep an animal calm. It doesn't always go, I've had cows run past me, but even when they do, it might take me 6 times, but I know how to go round them up, how to bring him back slowly, not panic him. And we're not going to be chasing him in donuts with a quad for 6 hours until one of us, either she gets exhausted or I run out of fuel type of deal.
Right.
So just having that confidence, I know how to work cattle, how to do my job, takes a lot of it out of it. If you're a hobbyist and you're just not that confident, you're relying more on noise to move your cows because they get scared of you more than just proper pressure, that's going to jack up a lot more of that stress because, one, you're not unsure how to go about it or whatever it might be. But the moment you're using high stress for your cows, then they're not calm. And that's when they start being really stupid. If you can keep your girls walking and really get them to think that it's their idea to move towards the corral, not yours, Lord, it takes
so much easier.
Your problems out of it right there. Mm-hmm. And if you are taking care of a proper corral to accommodate them, once you do push the herd, there goes your stress level for most of the day, and you haven't
so much easier. I really like that. For someone
sorry, I was
that's
just going to say I need to say this part though. On the flip side of talking loudly during things is people need to understand at some point you also need to kind of build up the self-confidence to take it. There is a line in there. Like, it's not an HR heavy environment to begin with, but it's a high stress moment where sometimes you just don't have the time. You can't take people aside and talk to them calmly. Would you please open the gate? It needs to get closed now. There is noise allowed. I have 10 things on my mind. There's a cow coming down the chute. I mean, so it's a give and take on both sides. As the person in charge, you need to be aware and not become abusive. But the people on the other side also need to understand that I need to raise my voice to be heard over everybody. And I'm naturally already highly stressed. I'm not on my living room. So if I yell at you, shut that gate now, I'm not really biting your head off. If I yell at you, shut that gate now, you useless. No, that is not agree. That's not okay. But it's come in expecting a small amount of abuse because it'll happen. It's part of the environment. It's part of the characters that gets attracted. Ranching is usually not a HR mindset heavy industry, for better or worse. So yeah, it's both sides of it need to take it, but I don't want to
really
put it on the boss because sometimes people just need to understand that you need to raise your voice. You're not being mean, you're being clear because it needs to happen now, exactly like that.
Really, even just giving that benefit of the doubt on both sides, right?
Yes.
Like, hey,
Yes,
you're gonna give it one way, but you've got to give it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. So changing gears a little bit here, for someone that's starting their first job on a ranch, so say they're coming in like you did from the beginning, what should they know about fitting into a team and earning trust?
Earning trust is the simplest, and that might be the best advice I'll give anyone when I talk to them, maybe on your podcast today. Trust is everything. You are going to mess up. Tell the truth. No matter how bad it is. Guy I worked for here last summer, I thought I set his paddock on fire. We were finishing the day and we turned around. We could hear it kind of crackling or whatever. I was like, oh, that's weird. We turned around and there's smoke coming up from the field. So we zip over there. The paddock's on fire. We burned down about 1.5 acres. We caught it early, thankfully. Thankfully, me and the other guy stayed behind to pick raspberries so that we could eat them. So
raspberries are good.
It was a good day for a snack. Anyways, paddock is caught on fire, and it was right where I had a cigarette hours earlier. Now, I made sure my butch was out. I keep the butch in my pockets because the landowner doesn't want to find cigarette butches everywhere, whatever. But there was a slight chance, and I really did not think that was it. But straight away after the fire department was there, I called the landowner and the ranch owner, let him know because he wasn't on site. First question he asked me, how'd that happen? Told him right away. I think it might have been me. Told him you tell them right away. It doesn't matter how big or how small. Because one, you just messed up. So there's personal accountability there that you should be saying it. But second, you're already going to pay the price for having messed up. The one thing you can do here is be honest about it. So then you take ownership of it. You can learn from it, first of all, because the moment you start blaming other people, right away you get yourself off the hook. But then that boss now knows, okay, this person messed up and I'm going to pay the price for them learning it. But you can also prove to them that they can trust you.
Right.
So if in the moment of a mess up, and the bigger the mess up, the bigger the opportunity it is to show I am worth the trust, is you own up to it and right away they're like, okay, cool. He messed up, but at least this person isn't lying to me because it'll come out. That's the thing too. I kept my mouth shut. Turns out it wasn't my cigarette. We found out within 12 hours it was the quad that zipped by 5 minutes before we saw the fire. It had dried grass and you could actually see it ignite the next day on it and it dropped down. So I could have kept my mouth shut. Nobody would ever know. But if the story came out and there was other people on the ranch that I had a cigarette there hours earlier, even though if it wasn't me, and I didn't mention it, now it's looking real bad. Real bad. So keeping that trust is everything at every level because from there you can build. It doesn't matter how good of a guy you are. If I can't trust that you're going to make sure that the gate is closed, that you care about the responsibility I gave you, you're no use to me. And I imagine most ranch owners are going to feel very similar. So
Well, and
that
I
is,
think too, if any ranch owner actually, so say in that situation, if they find out that you were smoking beforehand and didn't tell them, so you're either going to build trust or you're going to build resentment,
yep,
one way or another,
yep, for sure.
right? Like you're
Oh, it
building
happened.
something.
There's no going back or ignoring it.
Yeah,
So
and
either
even if
you,
the ranch owner lets it go, that's in
yeah,
the back of their mind the next time you do something wrong.
absolutely. And same thing, if you did say it and the next time something happens and it wasn't you, and you
Hmm.
tell them that wasn't me, they're not doubting it much.
I like that.
Whereas if
Yeah.
it's constantly not your fault, and even though he can't prove that something was your fault, he's got heavy doubts because it's never your fault.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter. Even if you say it's your fault or not your fault, or it was Johnny, I saw him. He's not good. Yeah, empty words. It's never your fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I really like that. That's
not
great.
only did you mess up, you lost that opportunity. So coming in, yeah, because you are going to mess up.
Hmm.
Low level things, high level things. It might just be losing the pair of pliers. Don't lie about it. Say you lost them.
The
Whatever.
fence tester. We all lose fence
Yeah,
testers.
right. So the small example to setting the paddocks on fire. Worst case scenario, they'll fire you. I mean, it
Hmm.
sucks, but you're almost guaranteed to get fired if you get caught. So, and the reason you're going to lie is because you're already scared of getting fired.
That's
So, if
true.
anything, by telling the truth, you're increasing your chance of not getting fired, most likely, I would
Hmm.
think. So, that aspect, and then if you're new into it, just don't say nothing but learn.
Mm.
Like you've got a lot to sponge up, depending
Yep.
on your background. Like I was coming at it new, I had a lot to sponge up, and I mean, I should have given myself that advice when I started because I was a bit like I didn't follow this at the best, so it's hindsight here. But just shut up and learn. Like I was telling you before, you can learn so much from people. And I did learn so much from people I had nothing in common, but I wish in the moment I would have had the presence of mind to realize that I was doing that. Because I probably could
Mm-hmm.
have learned more, or at least been a little bit more respectful about it. I
Right.
wasn't, I just want to be clear, like I didn't cuss anybody out or whatever, but just knowing myself, I probably dismissed them a little bit more because they weren't exactly what I wanted. So, and even if I didn't dismiss them entirely, who knows what that small dismissal in my mind might have cost me for a little golden nugget of information here and there that
Right.
that's
Right.
coming handy. So most of it has been hindsight. I mean, I realized looking back, it's like, wow, did I learn a lot that comes in now that I'm trying to do in my system.
Yeah.
So at first, just sponge up as much as you can and enjoy it. Be prepared to work hard.
So with that, what kind of attitude or mindset helps new employees succeed on a working ranch?
Um, just have grit.
Mm.
Just it really depends on your background. So I would say if you're coming from a heavy labor background, like construction labor or something really blue collar intensive, the oil field guys, ranching's actually pretty cruisy. Um, we'll come, you might walk more than what you're used to. But overall, like I worked a lot harder at my jobs before.
Mm-hmm.
Ranching is a slow burn. It's not an everyday grind where go, lift the heavy bags, go home, enjoy your weekend. Ranching is a slow burn. It never stops. So the day to day, if you're used to that hard labor background, it's cruisy. You're hanging out in the fields, a little bit of hammering, stapling, whatever. It's the
Eating
constant
raspberries?
eating raspberries. It's the constant, the fact that it's every single day and you never finish the work.
Right.
It's always going to be restarted somewhat, somehow. So that is a positive if you're coming from blue collar. If you're coming from someone who's more white collar or really hasn't worked physical jobs, get it in your head that this is probably going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. You're going to
Mm.
be out in that's another thing too, the sunshine. If you're not used to working outside, that is good. Like the exposure will take a beating you did not prepare yourself for.
Mm-hmm.
The sun, the constant being outdoors when I mean, if it's nice and sunny and not windy, most people can handle that. It's the days that aren't
The
like that.
rain
Still have
hits.
to go. Yeah. The rain,
Snow.
the high wind, when it's cold, when it's frozen, snow, just all that constant environment. And then you add on top of that working. If you're not used to lifting heavy things, I mean, a post pounder is heavy if your body's not used
Mm.
to working hard, and you add that over a day. So yeah, just be prepared for a bit of a shock and just keep a good attitude about it. Like just keep grinding. Your body's going to get used to it. It takes 2 to 3 weeks. Even construction guys are used to it. If you stop for a few months, when you get back into it, there's a 2-3 weeks of pain while your body gets used to it. That's normal for everyone. So just grit through it, keep going at it, keep a good attitude. But yeah, expect the mosquitoes and the sunshine and the hard work to take a beating on you. It's not going to be like in the movie where you look around and it's all rosy. It's
No, the
once
physical
you're in
pain
shape
does.
for it, then it is rosy and you look around. But at first, you're going to feel like you're in the military camp or something, maybe. I don't know.
I think to add to that, so there's the physical pain portion, but then there's also like things feel really awkward at first if you don't come from a background like that. You know, like wrapping up hose. It feels awkward. You don't feel graceful
Yeah.
doing it. It's
Yeah,
not
no,
easy.
you don't have the coordination yet, and you haven't. I guess it's just all things that are new to you, right? New
Right.
movements, new ideas, new. So yeah, it really depends on your background, but just soak up as much as you can.
Hmm.
Just try to learn, keep a good attitude. Just keep trying to learn, and people will see that because yeah, even that's another rarity. Come at it with the wanting to actually learn, show up, and hustle. People will teach you, and you will catch on.
Hmm.
It sounds probably dumb and super silly, but it literally is mostly attitude.
I like
Just
that.
be constant. Not one day, not watch a YouTube video and be motivated for the next day. It's 6 weeks after the YouTube video and you still have to show up. That slow burn motivation, if you got the grit to push through it, you'll be fine.
What would be your advice for handling disagreements or misunderstandings with a boss? And let's even like lead that into those days when, you know, you're frustrated and possibly thinking about quitting. What would be your advice for handling that?
Hmm. Well, number one is definitely you don't take it to anybody who's not your superior. And that's
Mm,
hard, especially on those days where you're frustrated. But if you take it to someone at the same position as you or below you, then it's just gossiping and you know, moaning about. I have words that are not proper for podcasts for that, but yeah, just moaning about. So that's like it's zero productive. You're not taking it to anyone who can do anything about it. So I would say that's number one. If you've got a problem and you need to take it up, you take it up to your normal chain of command, whether you're working directly with the big boss or to your next supervisor up. Because if you just take it lateral or below you, nothing can be done about it. Take it in a polite way, and I would say take don't say it in the moment. If you're thinking about quitting, just unless it's to the point where you're doing a rage quit, but at that point there's no communication that's going to stop it.
that's
You're
done.
rage quitting on
Yeah.
the spot. But if you're gonna, you're thinking about it, if there's issues, even if you're not thinking of quitting, there's good issues. Wait for the steam to get you know, out of you. Let the anger roll down. Try to think about their perspective for a second. I'm not saying spend 3 weeks on this and make it all about them, but just try to think about their perspective because it's going to help it when you approach, and then approach someone who can actually do something about it.
Mm.
Whether that's your direct supervisor or the big boss, depending on the company or the ranch or whatever it is, approach someone who can actually do something about it. Say it to them clearly. Make your argument. Don't just go in there and I feel like this and I feel like that. And give him a situation. Give him a clear situation. Like when this happens, this reacted, this did this. If you can make a clear chain all the way down, then it'll be fine. Well,
Hmm.
that's the best way to go about it, anyways.
Yeah.
You're going to get the best results out of it. Whether you're going to get change or nothing or turned down or told to just shut up and stay in line, that'll depend on the eventual. But that's your best chance at making something happen, in my opinion. But you definitely don't take it to anybody else that can't do nothing about it because then you're just talking crap about the boss. And I mean, it's a human instinct, but try to resist it because it just doesn't
Doesn't
lead
go
anywhere.
well.
And it doesn't
Right.
help morale at all.
Right.
So, yeah.
So if there's a problem and you see possible solutions, do you think that it's worthwhile coming forward with, okay, we've got this problem, this is happening, and coming forward with a few solutions and saying, hey, maybe we could do this, or this.
Absolutely. I mean, especially if you're going to go to the boss with a problem, I would say definitely try to come up with at least a solution for him too. I
Hmm.
mean, especially if you're, wanting to be a solid team member or you are a solid team member, if you're in some kind of management position or whatever, the boss will appreciate you if you're not asking him to come in as a babysitter and find a solution. You're telling him the problem and you're offering him ideas of solution. You might not choose any of your ideas because you might not have the entire context, or you might just not be, your ideas might just be something he's not interested in. But at least you're also bringing solutions to the table. So
Hmm.
yeah, 100%. Don't just go in there and, complain and offer nothing. Like if
Yeah,
you actually want the problem to get solved, offer your opinion. This is your chance to give your point of view towards a solution too. If you
right.
do nothing and they come up with a solution and then you just start moaning with your coworkers about the solution, well, not only did you give up your chance to influence the solution, but now you're doing nothing about it and you're going to keep on moaning. Helps no one. So
So
yeah,
on the other side of that too, I can see how there could be issues with like, okay, you're my boss, Etienne, and I come forward to you with like, you know what, cows keep on getting out. I think we could repair this fence. I think we could do this. I think we could do that. And you as the boss are like, well, we don't have money, we don't have time, we don't have whatever, can't repair this fence. How, or do you have advice for people on how they might be able to kind of stay a little humble and not take offense if the boss doesn't use their solution?
yeah, just grow up.
Okay, that
Like
works.
literally,
Yeah.
if this is an issue, like you're never, it doesn't matter the industry.
Mm,
Every idea you bring up is not going to be used. It
right.
doesn't mean it's a bad idea. Like if he cusses you out and tells you you're an idiot, look at these stupid ideas, different ball game entirely.
Hmm.
If they just don't go with it, okay.
It's just part of
You
it.
just didn't have the best idea. Like I said earlier, you might just not have all the information. It's not
Right.
that your solution isn't great, it's you don't have the full picture of the problem, so your solution can't fit in. And that could just be communication, or it could be just like literally you don't need to know in the role you are. It's private information, or right. If
Hmm.
you're a low line laborer, you might just tell them, no, we're not doing the fences this year. What they won't tell you is we're on the brink of bankruptcy, and here's the books from the ranch. Right? It's
Yeah,
your level of
that's a
information.
good point.
Bring the solution and like a legitimate solution as best as you can put it. But no, don't get, offended if the solution isn't taken, especially if you're lower on the totem. The further
Hmm.
you are from an actual decision maker, the less are the odds your solution is going to go through. But at least
That's
you
true.
brought it up to him and you showed to the team, like, hey, here's from the lower line perspective what we're thinking. And also, I care enough about this job to not just say, I don't care. It's a dumpster fire,
Whatever.
whatever. I'm here till 5 and that's it, as long as I get paid. Hey, you show them you
Hmm.
care and I'm offering solutions. They won't take it. Get over it.
Right. I really like that.
Sorry,
So what do you,
I'm not
let's
super mushy here.
I love it. Going to the motivation side of things, what do you think motivates employees the most? Pay, purpose, communication, or something else?
I mean, the real answer is it's a package of it all, but what I would say what really motivates them, purpose will be your motivator, I think. In ranching, anyways, there's industries where cash will motivate you, but I hope you're not in ranching for cash. Um, Purpose will motivate them, but if the money side ain't there, you just won't keep them.
Hmm.
I mean, I've had that issue before, and it's like as much as I'm passionate about the job, I can't rate passionate on a check to pay my rent or my groceries or anything like that. And you still deserve like this idea that because we're ranching, let's all be dirt poor and barely scrabble by. No. Are you going to have free vacation houses in Europe? No. But you should be able to afford to be able to, provide for your family and decent lifestyle and as well save for your retirement and have a small vacation once in a while. Live a modest lifestyle. If off
Hmm.
the bat you expect a guy to be fantastic, but then you offer something that he could make, I don't know, at McDonald's or any other job, there'll come a point where they just can't. So
Right.
don't pick everyone that way. Absolutely not. But when you do find your key players, especially if you've trained them and you know that you want to keep them around, depends on your business too, right? If you
Hmm.
don't want, all you want is the farmhand for the summer or whatever. No, I'll go pay these people. Be minimum with the training just so that they do that. Why invest in them? They're going anyways. That's not your model. If you're a bigger operation and you've got actual management underneath you and maybe 2, 3 guys with big positions or whatever, realize that at some point they need enough money to enjoy a good life if you actually want to keep them around. Or else
Hmm.
you're gambling your investment in training them, and how much your team depends on them is all up to you. But it's just part of the truth. And the cost of living today, you're gonna need to readjust. It's not what it was when you bought the ranch. Like
I think
people
age and stage of life play into that a little bit too,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. If you got an employee that's in his mid 30s and has a family depending on him, or is looking to start one, or whatever, yeah, they
It's
can't
different
manage.
than an 18-year-old.
Yeah, they've got mouths to feed or whatever. Whereas the 18-year-old is like, I'm not even thinking about life yet. I'm just trying to make enough car to put gas in my enough money, sorry, to put gas in my car and pay the
Hmm.
beers at the bar. He's going to be fine with whatever you offer him as a starter ranch hand. But I mean, that's like in any industry. The hard part with
Hmm.
ranching is we tend to not have the money, I guess, in the operations maybe to. I mean, I don't want to speak too broadly. I'm sure there are some that do, but sometimes it could be harder or whatever just because of the margin of ranching
It's
industry
not
being.
oil field or somewhere where there's a
Exactly,
lot of money moving
exactly.
through.
So the ranching also has to have that expectation, right?
Hmm.
Is no, you should make enough money to be able to actually live and feed yourself and whatever, but don't expect to have a bass boat and a wake boat and a quad to go with your buddy that works in the oil field. You're not in
Mm,
that industry,
yeah, yeah.
so it's balance.
That makes sense. Any memorable story where communication made or broke a working relationship? And obviously no names.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, how much detail do I go into this? Okay, let's put it that way. Worked for a ranch when I first started and when I came back from Australia. We had an agreement on a set amount of hours to be expected of work in a week. Sorry, not in a week, in a month. And that was like the minimum type
Hmm.
of deal. So that like, okay, it wasn't, I think it was like 100 hours a month. So we're not talking about much work here. So that was like, yeah, we got all that and whatnot. And how do I say this? No promises, but you know, it was insinuated that it would be more there if it worked out. Let's put it that way. So when I got there and I was working, whatever, it didn't take long to realize that an hour, 100 hours a month was going to be a stretch. And there were months towards the end where I didn't get my 100 hours. And so I brought this up
Hmm.
to my superior at the time, well, the owner at the kitchen table, told him, like, is this to be expected? What's happening here is like, oh, no, that's not normal. We just had low hours. It should be better next month. Okay, well, end of the next month, I had even less hours than the previous month. Yeah. So at that point, what do? Right? Like that's one of those perfect little conundrums
Right.
you were talking about earlier is in my eyes, I did what I could. Is
Hmm.
we had discussions before. I gave him the benefit of the doubt on the first one. On the second one, I approached him, said, what's up with this? That's not what we talked about. Had a conversation, polite, not nobody yelled at each other, just sitting at his table over a cup of tea. He looked me in the eyes, told me one thing. The next month, it wasn't that. I mean,
Hmm.
at that point, if you stay, don't complain about it. It's on you.
Right. Right.
Like there's no more clearer signs that you are not being taken seriously, and that whatever comes out of the mouth of that person, how much are you going to bank on it?
It's that trust that's kind of been lost
Exactly.
at that point.
Exactly. I mean, it wasn't insinuated. It was clear conversation from the beginning with a very low threshold. Like it shouldn't be hard to like. You can't live on 100 hours. I think I
Hmm.
was like at $16 an hour at the time, anyways. So it
For
was
work.
great. It didn't take long to go downhill. So yeah, but you can't do that to people. If you don't
Right.
have the work, you don't tell them that.
Right.
If you can't afford to pay a certain rate, you don't tell them that. You don't go committing because there's the commitment on both sides. You want the employee to be committed to you, but you
Hmm.
better be committed to them too. Like
Right.
if they do their part, you better be making yours because they're depending on you. It's a responsibility to take on,
Right.
not something to take on lightly. A summer student, sure, he'll survive
But
not
if
going to bar Saturday. But anybody who's actually trying to build their life or has people dependent on that income, you should be taking that seriously.
And that's where that honesty piece, I think, also comes in. So, because we talked about building trust. So, in the same way that you as an employee are going to go and be like, I messed up here, right? I think that that honesty piece being like, oh, shoot, yeah, we did say 100 hours,
Yeah,
I screwed up, like,
yeah,
or we need to change this conversation. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that honesty and clarity of expectation.
Oh, absolutely. And then definitely don't double down. Like the first
Mm,
thing is set standards for what you're expecting and what they'll get for what they're if they get rewarded, right? If you say like, oh, you're gonna be, I don't know, in charge of X responsibility, here's the package that goes with it. You make sure you stick to that. Because
mm-hmm.
if that doesn't line up, what are they going to trust? That the
The
next time
employees
it's
aren't
going
going to be
to line up
happy.
and everything like that. Yeah. So as the employer, you definitely have to make it. Now, if you can't meet that, definitely don't double down on it and tell them, yeah, it'll be fine.
I'll
And
do it
then
next
fail at
time.
it again. Like, what are you doing? So as soon as if there is a problem, things happen, bad year or whatever, just again, communication and honesty, approach the employee and tell them like, look, you are not, I mean, maybe you have the money, the employee's just
Mm.
not doing the job you were expecting him to do to meet that level. Well, then don't
But
just stay
talk about it.
silent. Yeah, don't just stay silent and not give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Approach him like, hey, I know you said you were at that range, but you're falling short on XXX responsibility. We're giving you this time period to work on that. We'll help you on those where you need help. We'll guide you through it. We expect you to meet the threshold by X date or whatever. Once you do, you'll get your compensation. If you don't, you're not doing the job we hired you to begin with.
Right. Right.
So,
It really goes both ways.
yeah, but no, you can't keep silent and just not do it or take it away because then that employee's
They're not going to stick around.
no. Or they're just worse, they're going to stick around, but they're not actually going to be part of the team. Then they're
Right.
sapping your energy. They might be influencing other employees. Their heart's not into the work or the responsibility they're taking on. You're going to pay for that. Don't think you won't.
That's right. So, out of this, what's one piece of advice you hope both employers and employees take away from this conversation that we had today?
Oh Lord. Yeah, I mean, I had just a recap of what we've been talking, I guess, is just communicate, keep it calm, and just try to put yourself in their shoes just for a second. Like, you don't have to lose 3 weeks on it, go to a shrink together and lay down on the couch and talk about your feelings. No.
Marriage therapy right there.
That's not usually the type of personalities who are attracted to ranching. Just the
Mm-hmm.
fact that we're talking at all is a miracle. Um, but yeah, just don't assume that people had the worst of intentions from the beginning. They did that on purpose. They don't care about me. Just take a second to breathe. Try to keep your cool. Keep your crap together.
Benefit of the doubt is
Just try
everything.
to understand and give them a chance to at least kind of explain how they got there. Or
Mm-hmm.
if it's a problem with somebody else, like a conflict, at least give them a chance to explain their side of it if you can. And then on the flip side, if you're the employee, like realize nobody's perfect too, right? So
Right.
most bosses know that employees are perfect. If you talk to people who employ people, they're aware of that fact. But you need to keep it in mind as you're managing those people, and the same with the employees. Realize that your boss isn't, even if you've got the best boss in the world, he's aiming at being the best leader he can, whatever. He'll fall through.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's if you got the best one in the world. So just, try to take some of the hits and let it go. Like, it doesn't always have to be something. You might raise their voice. Maybe sometimes, they give you crap, but you might have deserved it. Sometimes part of the learning curve is to take your licking and move on. If you
Right.
do something wrong, take the crap, learn from it, move on. Don't
That's it.
wallow in it. Don't just, take it to heart and turn it into something it's not. We don't have the time for that. Most ranchers already don't like humans. That's why they work with animals. So they're not down for that kind of thing to begin with. So yeah, keep it balanced. But that being said, don't go ignoring real problems, right?
Right.
Be mature and grown up enough to figure out what's a real problem and a real concern to bring up. What is just me being butthurt and I need to get over it. But if there's
Fantastic.
real concerns, definitely bring it up, because if not, nothing will work.
Right. I really like that. Thank you so much for your time, Etienne, today. This has been a blast.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And that was Etienne Poulin on Real Agriculture.